Welcome to the It's All Fine and Dangy podcast, where hosts Dan and Angie talk with creatives, small business owners, charities, and all kinds of interesting people. It's all real talk. It's all fine and dangy.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. We appreciate each and every week that you pop on over, take a listen, see what's going on. Although it's been like a month.
I know. Well, that's very uncommon. And I just want to point that out because we are in the process of getting new listeners. And for those of you that have been listening for a while, we have just moved up from Florida to North Carolina. We are all about supporting small business, and we'll get into that. But we, over the years doing this in Florida, we learned that meeting with small businesses in person, trying out the stuff, whatever, it's great for two things. It's great for one, because we don't really promote stuff that just we didn't think was a hit or that we liked or whatever. We never badmouth, but we won't mention it. So our brand then is that we, if we're talking about it, that we really liked it. And we've gotten great feedback from that. But meeting with local businesses also is really nice because you get like a vibe between you, and then it's really easy to get them to come on. We're starting from scratch now. So when you're doing like these cold emails, and it's not the easiest way to get guests.
Yeah, I think people view it as like a sales pitch.
Almost. I do too.
I think when they see the word like local podcast, immediately they're thinking like they're trying to sell me something.
Right.
So we want to do a little introduction to hopefully our new audience here in North Carolina in the Asheville area. We are Dan and Angie, and we started our podcast, or we are Angie and Dan. Is that better?
Because you introduce yourself second. You know why you do? And
I do it because of the name.
Yes, I figured that. And just so everyone also knows, we're back on video. So we're sitting in our brand new studio. It's not quite done yet. I'm fiddling around with the microphone, which is a big no-no, but we're still getting it worked
I know.
out.
So now I'm back to having to get all gussied up for the video. Used to just be down here in my PJs, and it was just me and you,
Yeah. Well, but also it's getting back in the rhythm of looking at the cameras, talking to the cameras. And I was hoping that we would have our third camera in place for this so we could sit across from each other.
Yeah.
But you guys can see from the wide shot that we've got our little studio set up. We've got the spot ready for guests, and we're ready to rock.
We are ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
But getting back to the meeting with businesses. Now, like when we first started the podcast in 2019, that was like, the reason we started is to get more involved in the community.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And we were like, well, how could we do that? And we just love supporting our local small businesses. So it kind of just snowballed from there.
Yep.
And we just started lining up guests and getting back to the trying it before we kind of feature it.
Yep.
We didn't really, we did do that in the beginning, but we also had a lot of creatives on and authors and, musicians and all sorts of like teachers and just people with interesting stories, small businesses, small nonprofits. And that is the same kind of focus that we're having here in North Carolina.
Yep.
We've actually already had a couple North Carolina businesses on, which we'll chat about a little further down the line. But
we have, but you raise a good point, Angie. We morphed, and I was thinking about the beginning of the podcast was to get more involved in community. And we started with we're going to have, because I'm an author, we'll have authors on a lot. And
we tried to be very themed.
Yes, and because Angie's was a health and wellness coach, we'll do a lot of that kind of stuff. And over time, it has evolved into what we feel like our niche is, and where we've gotten most interest, and honestly, where we've made the most friends and the most connections, and the most connections that we've helped create between small businesses, and it's just been a blast. So I said the other day, we should almost change our logo to say it's all fine and dangy, and then something like small biz is where it is, or something.
I love
because
it. Don't steal that. I'm sure there's a hashtag that says that already. But
because from the name, Dan, Angie, it's all fine and dangy, and that was your invention, which I think is great. Yeah. But it doesn't tell you what we do and what the podcast is for. So
that might be a kind of a rebranding thing that we go through, maybe, because a lot of businesses do that, where they kind of rebrand themselves. And I think, like you said, Dan, we've fallen into that niche now of what we feel like we're really good at.
Yep.
What we're really interested in.
Yes.
Is supporting the small local businesses.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
in that comes, your local artist and stuff like that, because they're their own small business. So,
my brain immediately goes, please don't change the name of the podcast because I have business cards and this big sign and websites. But we'll see.
I love the name of the podcast. It's just maybe when we're, doing posts and stuff like that, we just make sure people really kind of know. And on our business cards, they
Small biz. Yeah, new T-shirts would be nice too if they said small biz is where it is or something like that.
Yeah, we've been talking about that for a long time. Like all these small businesses that I know, and even, businesses that are up and coming and growing, it's all about branding, right?
Yeah.
So we haven't gone to school for marketing or anything like that. This is just learning off of Google or searching how to do it.
Yep.
But anybody that has a small business that I know, it's like they're wearing their brand everywhere.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, I guess we should probably do that.
And we were a little bit like that for a while where we had the hats on and the shirts on and all that. So we should probably,
it's time to start investing in that and just, hey, look, I'm all about wearing the same thing all the time nowadays.
Like Steve Jobs.
I don't want to think about it. I want my black yoga pants and the same shirt in, 7 different varieties so that I can just wear the same thing and not have to think about it every day.
I told you this, but there's tech people, like leaders in tech, like Steve Jobs, and I think Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook.
It's like the least of their concern, right?
Yeah,
the least of their concern.
Yeah, like the same outfit every day, just so they can just move on with their lives or whatever. But we were kind of going to do sort of a reintroduction of ourselves as well, because we almost wanted to kind of just let you know a little bit about us. Our very first episode was how we kind of did some questions back and forth. And a friend of mine, shout out to Mike Martin if you're listening, Mike, but he was just starting to get into the podcast and he was listening to the first episode. And I'm like, oh no, it's so cringy because this is episode 201 now.
Yep.
Our 6th season. We've gotten way more comfortable and just way more like we are in real life. But at the beginning, it wasn't as cringy as I thought, but it was a lot of, what we're going to do with the podcast. And I said podcast.
And I must be very arrogant because I've always thought we've been wonderful. So. But okay, that being said, Dan is the one that edits and goes back and listens to it over and over.
Yeah.
And I am a one and done type lady. Like we're here, we're in the moment. And I'm moving on.
Yeah, and I don't really edit anymore except just to put, video to audio. I don't edit anything out like we used to try to get it all. I used to try to get it all.
Because I love the bloopers.
I
the
do too.
Bloopers, they're raw, they're real.
Yes.
And people like raw and real. And
yeah.
we make mistakes. This is life. Shit happens.
Indeed.
And it happens on the show, in the moment. And what are you going to do about it?
And it's some of the most fun interviews we've had have been where we got to laughing and couldn't stop. Or it was a really touching... I don't know if this is fun, but it was an important moment where it was a really touching story, and maybe we all got sad, or if it was raising money for some cause that's a painful thing to talk about. But anyway, I agree. It's we've evolved anyway. Though the first episode, so he's listening to the first episode and the introduction of how we're kind of telling who we are, and we thought we would do a mini version of that now, just to kind of say who we are and how we ended up doing this and what we're all about here. And I will let you go first, Angie, because I feel like I'm hogging the mic.
Well, who I am, I'm Angie, the second half of It's All Fine and Dandy.
Yeah.
I'm a corgi mom to 2 corgis, a 2-year-old Mackenzie and Oliver, who we just got, who is now 3 months old.
Yeah.
And I'm very adventurous and spontaneous.
Yes.
I love local small businesses.
Indeed.
Like, this is the thing I look for when we go out and about. I love adventure. And
that's why we're here in North Carolina.
That's why we're here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I also host an Airbnb in Florida, our home that we have in Florida, the Lynwood Lounge.
Yeah.
And we did that so that we could move to the mountain state.
Yeah, and we're
land. Oh wait, I got to learn it. What is it? Land of the skies.
This is the teal horse. The
Tar Heel.
I said teal har. That's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. And I'm gonna go lay down.
We're learning all of that, but I think it's like the land of the sky or something like that.
Oh, is that what North Carolina? Maybe.
Well, I see that little quote on a bunch of stuff, so I'm learning all those type of things like about the Sunshine State, how we know about Florida, but there is little sayings about North Carolina like that. So starting to learn all those little quirks about North Carolina, but enjoying the hiking up here, all the different waterfalls and stuff to check out.
It's
I
just
don't
so beautiful.
think that will ever get boring because the things we loved and I loved doing in Florida, I never got bored of. Kayaking, seeing manatees, seeing monkeys. Yes, we have monkeys on some of the Florida rivers.
Oh, yeah. We've seen them. Finally, I saw them, yeah.
Just all the wildlife. And the only thing that really ran us away was just the squelching heat.
I still love
Is
Florida.
squelching a word?
I think it's sweltering.
Well, I think it's a word now. So go ahead. You're welcome. And you can use it in your vocabulary. It'll be in the dictionary.
Maybe the name of this episode should be Squeltering
Squelching.
Tart
Get it right.
Tealhar. Squeltering Tealhar. But yeah, so thanks for the intro again. And it's fun to hear you listen to it. Of course, my name's Dan, and I work remotely for an engineering firm. So we were able to move, and I could keep my job. I also am a big fan of small business and mom and pop organizations and learning to get to know the people that own those businesses.
That's the best part is
It
the
really
stories.
is.
Yeah.
And then you want to go help support them, assuming that it's good still, but you want to go support them and kind of help them. And it just feels good to know that you're contributing to the success of your local community. So, but yeah, we decided to do this to kind of get involved in community. We found our niche. I was born and raised in Florida. This is really different for me to have moved up here. So far, I am completely and totally in love with North Carolina.
Yes.
And
I know that's what everybody keeps asking me. How are you liking it? I'm like, I love it.
Yeah. and I love Florida too. I know most of our listenership is our Florida audience right now, and we hope to retain that audience because there's a lot of people that go between these areas.
That's right.
That are either vacationing in one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's so much so that when we've told people we've sort of started meeting here, that we moved here, we hear a lot of, "Oh, are you from Florida?" So it's so we're hoping that we can maybe bridge the gap. Obviously, we'll probably. We're trying to keep it somewhat even between Florida and North Carolina. We'll just have to see how that works out as we go over time. Because we are going to go back to Florida a few times a year.
Well, all of our family and friends are in Florida.
Both sides, yeah.
So, I mean, we'll make new friends here, but we're not replacing any of those friends. You know who I'm talking about, guys.
We're replacing all of our friends. I have a list. I'm scratching out one as I add a new one. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I only have like one on mine, so...
Same. That's so not true.
I can't scratch that one off.
I wanted to remember to add something too, though. That one of the things that Angie and I are just starting to do is voiceover work for.
Yes.
We're both members of Backstage now, so as we're doing this, and we're, what you do is like you put your sort of resume, your vocal resume on there, and then you might get reached out to by somebody that wants you to do a little ad, and maybe you make a decent amount of money on one, and maybe you make almost nothing on another. But we started thinking, why don't we do the same thing for local small businesses at a discounted rate? So that's something that we're going to get more discussion going on. But if you're interested in voiceover work, we are going to start doing that for ads for local small businesses, not just to run on our show, but also if you just want to take it and go do whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, we have some examples like on our YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, like Fox Valley Farm and
we've done
others.
like just some fun little commercials almost just to
you used
help
to call
support
it
them.
Community call out is what you used to call
The
it.
community call out.
Hey, there's your theming.
There's my theming. I do love a good theme though. But we have been doing, we're on our sixth season. That's we're going to pick that up in your ear right there. Sixth season.
I feel like I'm whistling like the gopher from Winnie the Pooh.
Yep. And we've, 5 seasons were in Florida.
Yep.
And met with over 200 people, businesses, artists, authors, all that and above. I can't talk right now.
It's funny is some of our episodes are just us, but you're probably still right because when we would have guests on, sometimes it's 2, 3, or 4 people at the same time. So
exactly. I kind of went and did like a little count.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, we're close to 200 people. If
Oh,
not
wow.
over.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, we had so much fun doing that in Florida. We're still going to do it when we go back, though. Touch base with some of our favorites, maybe if there's a new business that's popped up that we try out and really like. See if we can get them on the show because we can even do call-ins, which is really cool. So it doesn't have to be just in the local area. Even when we were in Florida and we vacationed up here, we found some businesses to be on the show.
Oh,
We
yeah, that's
kind of made it part of our vacation trip.
That is a great segue. We met with Sideways Brewery. They're in Etowah. Sideways Farm and Brewery. They're in Etowah, North Carolina, which isn't far from Asheville. I think it's 20, 30 minutes from Asheville. We met with the original owners, John and Carrie. That has changed hands now.
I know. I'm excited because I'm going to reach out to them. I'm hoping that we can do another episode with them just to kind of see what kind of changes they've made, what they've kept the same, what was the interest in purchasing the farm. So very excited to see kind of what's going on there.
Me too. That'd be really fun. And just sort of on a personal note, we're talking about meeting up with John and just kind of seeing how he's doing. I think he still works there. So
yeah, very cool.
It'd be neat to see that. That's episode 31, season 1, if you want to find out a little bit about Sideways Farm and Brewery and how they got started. And hopefully we'll have a part 2 soon where you can see how they're doing now.
And then
always a good reason to go to the brewery.
Yeah, it really is. We actually have one we're going to check out today, too, that's here local. And then season 3, episode 113. Yeah, we have this memorized, guys. No.
We're on video now. We can't say that anymore.
I mean, I could have memorized it before, I guess, but no, the brain don't work like that anymore. Let's put it that way. But we came up for our honeymoon. And I had found on Airbnb that you can do like these excursions kind of.
Yeah.
And I booked this excursion for a coffee hike. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. She's like, yeah, we like make coffee by the river, go on a hike.
So cool.
And, it was up in the Pisgah National Forest. And I think we went to like the 3...
Triple Falls, I think it's called.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
But we had never been there. So this was our first time there. And we did. We met Caitlin and she was making this amazing coffee and made it all like 3 different ways right on the river, right?
Using like river water and then running it through a filter. It was really neat.
Now, I thought that was a little unsafe, but I trusted her because she had hiked the full Appalachian Trail.
Yes.
Single girl all by herself, like hike this trail.
Such a great story, too.
Oh, yeah. So it was a great story. So you can hear her story, though, on the episode 113. And she has a brand of coffee called Nero Coffee.
We have to get some more of that.
I know, which is really good. And she's got a cool little property that she rents, tent spaces. Anyway, I'm going to save it for you so you can go and listen to the episode 113.
These are good examples.
We were like, we have to have her on the show.
Yep.
And she did a call-in.
From North Carolina when
right.
we were back in Florida. Yeah,
That's
these are good examples of some of the local small businesses that we've already met here. So those of you that are local to the area, I mean, if you're from Apopka, Florida, which is where we started this whole thing, there's a great small business community there, and everyone is so supportive, and we're starting to feel that it's very similar here.
Yes.
And so, the examples that you're giving, Angie, are from a few years ago. But as we have moved up here now and we're starting to hit restaurants and different places, it's like I get a very similar vibe in terms of it just being like supportive of each other.
Yeah, so I, every time I go I'm trying to shop at the local little pet store and all these little small businesses. And from Patton Avenue Pet Company, where I went to get the dog some treats, Willie checked me out. And
Hey.
And
what happened?
He checked me out.
Oh,
hey, no.
Okay.
Anyway, I talked to Willie about asking him if it was a small business and, always marketing myself everywhere I go for the podcast. But he started telling me about a couple movements here in the area, one called Go Local, Asheville.
Yes.
And that is exactly what they do. Businesses connecting with small business. They are really in support of supporting what's local, right? And there's another one called Just Economics that I'm looking into. And they're all about getting, what is it? Oh, I can't remember. The fair working, like a living wage.
Oh, the living
there
wage.
We go.
Oh, yeah.
Get it out of my
Gotcha.
mouth. So they're really big on that in this community. So I think that is awesome because, living wage, you got to be able to survive.
Sure.
If you want I just thought of a saying. If you want your community to survive, you need to pay your employees so they can thrive. Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
Oh, what? Snap. Whatever.
Ooh, nice. That's better than, that's awesome that you're checking into that. I know we talked about one of our next steps is looking into the Chamber of Commerce in this area.
Yeah.
Some things that we learned to do late in Apopka in Florida.
We never did that. And you know what I think it is? I think it's because, I was just not very educated on that.
Yeah.
I was thinking, because It's All Fine and Dandy was not a business in Florida. This is a grassroots thing. This is our hobby. This is what we do.
Passion
project.
project.
We are going to turn it into a business this year in North Carolina.
Yep.
But I thought you had to have a business to join the chamber. I didn't realize you can be a member of a chamber when you're just part of the community.
Yeah.
I
love that,
I'm not
though.
I got to get more informed on that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
You know more about it than I do, for sure.
Yeah. So that's something we definitely have put on our radar for up here, is so that we can really just network, meet, because we're brand new to the area. So the only way we're really going to spread the word about ourselves is get one person on. And that's kind of word of mouth is how we got a lot of people on the show previously. But
and what other, now I'm stuttering like Porky Pig. The other thing that really helps, though, is that once you've had 20, 30 people on, there's a momentum where small businesses are talking to each other and they're like, oh, did you hear about this podcast that we had so much fun and they promoted us and da-da-da. And that it really started getting easier and easier. And then it got to where we're setting up a booking site because we can't keep up with the calls or the emails that are asking to be on the show. So now it's kind of flipped again.
Yeah.
And we're starting from scratch again.
Yeah.
So it'll be a fun adventure, but we are very eager and anxious to get guests back on the show.
But something, if you are interested in being on the show and are in the area, we're very casual. We're very casual but professional. We kind of follow your lead on.
That's right. We might have some drinks if you want.
How your speech is. You know.
If you want to curse, we're all in.
You know, hey, we want you to be yourself. That's for sure. We want to be able to be ourselves, but we also want to respect your business and your clientele.
Of course.
And might have a couple drinks while, we're doing the show. And the thing that makes me so happy is every single person that's ever come on the show that has been nervous because maybe they've never, it's not live, right? So if you make a mistake, we can fix it. But so many people have been nervous because it's been their very first time ever kind of talking to an audience about their business, in this kind of forum. Right.
And a podcast is really talking to each other while everyone's listening. That's why you kind of think about it.
Yeah. But so many people have said, oh my gosh, I was relaxed immediately after we started talking and we had so much fun. And that's really kind of what we want.
And for the longest time, that was Angie and I's little secret thing where we would purposely never ask if you had fun. And as soon as they said,
still don't.
As soon as they said we had fun, well, now we've told everyone that. As soon as we said we had fun, we'd be like, yes, they had fun.
High five.
That was like, we were just waiting to see if they were going to say it. So it's really cool. And it's,
it's all about highlighting their business. You know what I mean? So we kind of, have some questions that we want to ask about the business, but whatever you want to tell about your business and want our audience to know about what makes you unique or special or different,
how
or
you
customer
got started.
Service great, or your story.
That's
story. What we want our audience to know.
Indeed. And one thing that you're really good about making sure that we do after that is...
Looking at the camera?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I'm not.
No. One of the things that you're... by the way, if you're watching the video here... This is also sort of an experiment because how long have I been goofing around with lighting in here?
Yeah, a little while.
3 weeks?
Yeah.
We don't know if this is the final set, but we're working on it still. But one of the things, Angie, that you're really good about is making sure that if we have a business on that we talk to and we hit it off, then if we haven't already tried the product, which was kind of the rhythm we were in before, we do go and we do post when we're there and we do go again and we do go to their events and we do post about their events. So it became sort of this organic thing where Propagate Social House, we probably have, there's a coffee shop and a Popka that we've made friends with the owners now, and we probably have 50 posts there, drinking the coffee, seeing their events, about their events, and it's real. We're not doing this for any other reason that we really believe that is a good company, and they have great products, and they have great people that work there, and that's what we're looking for.
And we have found a good coffee house up here that's down the street from us called
Drippolator, yeah.
And we haven't checked the inside out yet because we always have the dogs with us, so we're going through the drive-thru all the time. But we need to go check the inside. The other day it was packed when I went with the dogs to pick up coffee. And I I'm like, yeah, we're coming in. We're going to sit down next time.
I would love to be
I
with
love
them.
the feel, like the ambiance of most coffee houses. They, most of them
vibe.
just give this such cool vibe.
Well, their coffee is really good too,
It's
and
good.
I drink it black, so I can tell. But I also had
taste
my
it.
first Frappuccino, which look, you guys have been fooling me for years. I didn't realize that's just a chocolate milkshake with coffee in it. But they're delicious. I've had like 3 since then. I got one for your mom and
but
your sister when they were
you
here.
also need to slow down when you drink them because you get the brain freeze every single time.
I really do. I want to do a spot for them so I can go the drippolator.
Yeah. Now,
I'll be back.
the other thing is,
Get to the chopper.
you know what I want to talk about too. So we're in our new studio, and this is like our 4th reiteration of a studio since.
Is it 4? Wow.
Well, in our bedroom, then in one of the kids' rooms when they moved out, and then the other kids' room when they moved out, and now this one,
Yeah,
and then
that's true.
also like traveling
the
places,
mobile
in the
rig.
mobile, and in our living room at the apartment. But I don't really count that one. So yeah, this is like our 4th iteration of a podcast room, and Dan has worked really hard doing this. I'm not going to say I have done a ton.
You've given me some great ideas, though.
I've given you some ideas, but I've kind of let this be your little project.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I will say that this awesome sign that we have up here, we had this kind of idea, this vision, and the letters that you see there were actually made for us in Florida by a small business.
That's right.
So those were made by a small business, so we had brought those here. But that piece of wood we got, we went like scavenge hunting for that. And we were looking for the perfect kind of old piece of wood or metal or something that just said industrial kind of old.
I think we were looking for, in my mind, like a more worn out old building vibe. Like we're in an old building kind of.
Yeah, that's this kind of brick board that we put up, and because we're in a basement.
Yeah.
And we're going to also test out the sound today and see how everything is sounding. Sounds good so far.
I think so. I think our equipment's really helping that. But yeah, we're not only in a basement, we're like in a little alcove of a big basement where we have this back wall, the one behind the curtain here behind this wide shot camera. It's almost like a TV set because there's no wall there actually. There's curtains and then there's a whole basement over there.
You may hear dogs barking, you know. Hey.
So we need to come up with a saying for when our neighbor goes down those stairs, like, I don't know, drink or stair time, stairway to heaven, something, I don't know, something funny. But
Children under the stairs.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a scary one. But anyway, let me get back to the sign before I forget. So we got that from Junk and Disorderly.
What a cool place.
It was a cool little place. And the guy who we talked to about
Shane.
getting it, his name was Shane.
Yep.
That's right. And it's cool to go to a place like that because it's not all junk, right? I know the name kind of sounds like, maybe it's like a junkyard or something. No, that's not it. You find some really cool like vintage stuff in there.
You know what it's like to me?
Vintage is really big right now.
It's like a messy Hobby Lobby that's a 16th of the price because there's stuff everywhere you can make into other stuff.
Pictures and
just big nice pieces of wood and
stuff that can be repurposed like that. Yep.
But I want to give you credit before you go on because Angie here says, "Oh, I think I found the perfect piece." And I go back inside. I was out in the outer area, and she's got this piece of wood, and it was literally. I mean, we keep in mind we already had the letters. It was exactly the right size.
That's what happens. You just got to dig sometimes.
Oh man, so great job there. But yeah, I just put the letters on. Oh, you gave me the idea to use a TV bracket to mount it on the wall. I had this elaborate wood thing I was going to build. It was going to take days, and then it took 5 minutes.
I have some ideas. I'm a problem solver.
It was great. I would like to get a mini fridge in here, I think, maybe somewhere.
Oh, that'd be really cool. That would be really cool. Yeah. One of those retro ones, though.
Oh,
I have to get one of those retro ones.
Like one of those neon green ones or whatever, the mint green maybe is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd get the red.
The red.
To kind of go with our brand. You know, it's all about the marketing. It's all about the theming.
That's right.
Of the brand, you know.
Very nice.
But
what about Needful Things? We went to Needful Things also.
Yes.
We didn't find a sign there, but this was a massive.
Melody told us about that.
Yes, Melody from
Two Guys Pizza,
which I think is now closed.
It's closed.
But that's where we got the chairs from here. We bought those from her. But she told us about this place. I remembered it, of course, because it's a Stephen King book title. But
You could write a story about this place, so I'm going to tell you that.
not to sound crazy, because, like Daniel Tosh is one of my favorites. His new podcast from Tosh.0, by the way, the first thing he asks his guests is, do you believe in ghosts? And if they go, yeah, then the buzzer goes, and he goes, wrong answer. So it's not like it's a subjective thing. But I'm not going to lie when I tell you, I got some weird vibes in there.
You did tell me there's really weird energy here. And I'm like...
And I'm not like one of those, I'm not hippy-dippy with all that stuff, but I don't know if it's just because it's old stuff or what, but something in there
No, I think energy carries for stuff, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know the science behind that.
Yeah, it has to. But you could get lost in that place. That is a really cool place, too.
Yeah, it was very cool.
We'll be back there just to get some cool stuff for the house.
I did feel really good energy around the one item I found there that I didn't buy.
That was the A-Team lunchbox.
It was the A-Team.
The A-Team lunchbox.
And it had like B.A. Baracus on the front and Hannibal. And
yeah,
so
and
then I came home and looked it up on eBay, and it's worth $399.
Yeah, you should have snatched that up.
I
it
know.
was probably like $15 there.
I know.
Yeah. But anyway, since we've moved here in December, I have been back to Florida
Getting ready to be
3 times.
Yeah. That's a lot.
So we were just down in Sarasota for my youngest sister's wedding. I officiated. Dan did drone work.
Long drive.
Lots of driving.
But
we were able to stop by our Airbnb as well, do some little touch-ups around there, and go down to the wedding and then drive all the way back home.
Yeah.
And then when I got back, I did about 9 hours of flight to go pick up our new puppy in Kansas City.
Yes. Oh, Angie had such a day here too. And I have to remember to look at the camera, because when we have the guests on, we don't look at the camera too often because we're talking to the guests. But now that we're talking to you here,
I know. I keep looking down like at my notes and stuff. I got to get used to this again.
Well, we used to be so good at it from the show in Florida that after we started breaking down the studio and said, hey, we're not going to do camera anymore because we got to package things up. We'd look up at the spot where the camera used to be, and it's like a spot on the wall. But yeah, so I do want to give a shout out again to you, Angie. It's not a big schmoopy fest every time we do the show if you're new here, but Angie,
it gets schmoopy from time to time.
Angie did, I dropped her off at the airport. I think we left here at 4:30. I dropped you off at 5, right?
Yeah, we got up at 4 to go to the Greenville airport because Asheville didn't fly to Kansas City.
So to make a long story short, I dropped her off at 5 a.m. She had 4 flights total to get to Kansas City and back, and I picked her back up at 7:30 p.m. So much time had gone by that your sister Heather is riding with me, and as we're driving back, I go, yesterday when I dropped her off, she goes, that was today, Dan. I'm like, that's impossible.
And I brought 2 puppies back because my sister had drove up from Florida to pick up the second puppy that I was bringing back.
Yes, so traveling on 2 different planes, 2 on the way out and then 2 back with 2 puppies.
2 puppies that aren't potty trained yet, or they're used to being on a farm and just going wherever they want. Oh, it's exciting.
And all the challenges, they almost didn't let you bring them because they had to be in separate carriers, and then you almost missed a flight. And I thought to myself, I would have handled all that so well.
Yeah, I think you would have done just fine with a couple Valiums.
I'd probably still be somewhere in between.
There'd probably be puppies running all over the airport. No, it was really great. I flew Southwest, and I'm telling you, I had such a great experience. And the Kansas airport especially, everybody there, they were amazing. People were helping me with the puppies, and no stress. There was no...
I love it.
I'm not going to say there wasn't stress. I had 2 puppies, but everybody was so helpful. Nobody made me feel like, oh my gosh, why are you doing this? Just people that were in the airport were helping me. Of course you have puppies, right? So as you're walking through the puppy, that's why I almost missed the 1 flight.
Yeah.
Because 50 times, I'm not kidding, I stopped so that people could pet the corgis.
Yeah.
And I'm holding them in my arms. And my arms were like jello. And my legs were like jello by the time I got home.
It's like a workout.
Anyway, we got the puppy home. He's doing great.
Yeah.
Mackenzie loves him. And in about 2 weeks, we get to start taking him on adventures.
Oh, can't wait.
I mean, we took him on a hike, but we can start taking him with interactions with more dogs and stuff. Yeah.
I love going to the dog park, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Also, I don't want to forget, for those of you that are in Florida and those of you that may go to Florida in the Apopka area, which is just outside of Orlando, one of the now, I mean, it's now really becoming one of the big hotspot places to eat
really
in
is.
Apopka.
Yeah.
Used to be the catfish place. It's now called the Naughty Lobster, Naughty, naughty, like nautical. The Naughty Lobster, our dear friends there. We went, met with some of our friends and our family. We had a delicious...
Two other small businesses.
Yeah,
by
two
the
other
way.
small businesses we can talk about, but a delicious spread of food. We finally got to try their lobster roll, and this isn't the...
You're saying it wrong.
Am I?
Lobster.
Oh, lobster.
It's lobster roll.
It's a lobster roll. But this isn't no disparagement to the traditional lobster roll. I don't like the traditional lobster roll that's all mayonnaise-y and cold. It's just not my gig. I know a lot of people love it. This is a hot, they have that one too, but this is a
Connecticut style.
hot lobster with butter and seasoning on a warm
delicious.
bread, and it was amazing. I have never...
Yeah, I think next time we go, I want to get like just the big one.
Yeah.
Just, they do.
We could split it.
Yeah. Because I could eat half of that for sure.
Yes,
I mean,
and
delicious.
and shout out to Mike Fox for giving us the tip to add you can do where you do double meat or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so
Yeah,
good,
thanks.
so good.
Thanks,
we had
Mike.
the crab cakes, the clams, the fried green tomatoes.
We had a lot of stuff on that table in between all of us. It was
huge spread. Seeing family and friends, it was really nice. And so if you're in that area, this place, it's not fancy. As Denny Tornatore said on Denny Tornatore Eats the World My Way. There's another podcast we really love for a local business there. But it's not fancy, as he said, but the food, I mean, you don't want it to be fancy because you're splashing butter around.
Oh,
as
yeah.
Denny
you gotta
describes
wear the lobster bib.
Yeah, the way Denny describes it makes me want to go eat there again. But
He has a way about that.
Yeah.
You know, that's why he has a great podcast
Yeah.
so that you know where to eat. I'm excited for if he comes up in the area too, for us to take him to a couple of the places.
oh, me too. We got to put him on the
'Cause,
list.
you know, he always loves trying and giving a real assessment.
Yeah.
Because he's a real foodie, because he's a chef. Too,
And
he owns a restaurant.
He's fair too, though, because if you have a bad night or something, he will say, yeah, service was terrible, but we're going to go back and give him another chance. So, appreciate that too, because he wants small businesses to survive too.
Of
but
course he
he also
does.
doesn't want to tell you to go somewhere that's not good. You know,
Yeah.
that's what we have in common.
So one of the things, when you move to a new area, right, you got to reestablish all these new doctors and, you know, specialists that you've had. And there's just some things I'm not going to sacrifice, right? My big thing is a dentist, finding a good dentist.
Yeah.
Especially if you need a root canal.
Oh, yeah. I
And-
broke a tooth like the week before we left. I guess I'm
Yeah.
at that age where every year you need
You're
a
just
new
going to
tooth.
break something.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But so you actually, when we were in town, you were able to get into the lady who does our root canals down there.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Yeah.
But we really, if anybody is listening to the show in this area and you have some suggestions for us, well, I think we found one that
A
had really
dentist.
good reviews.
I did find a dentist.
So we're going to try them out. But yeah, if you do have suggestions, please email us, fineanddangy@gmail.com. And that's Dangy, Danjee.
Yes, and it's a good time to point out, I'll say it again at the end, we have a new email address. So if you've been listening, we used to say the email address on the show. It's different now. We ditched it because we found that if you're at fineanddangy.com, you go at the junk mail folder. So we're now just Gmail like everyone else. So
it's so much easier.
fineanddangy@gmail.com. But Maria Claus it seems like a weird small business to plug, like Endodontist. But I'm going to tell you why I am plugging her.
But so many of our listeners are in Florida. So
Yeah, true.
root canal's the worst.
I
but
hate
it's not a
going-
bad experience.
Right. I hate going to the dentist. I go religiously, but I don't like it. I'm not freaking out, but I'm very not comfortable during the whole thing.
What's cool about their office, though, they like have the newest technology.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, I'm telling you, it is so you like basically fall asleep while she's doing it.
I'm telling you, and this is not drugged, but
No.
they make sure to give you plenty of Novocaine so you can't feel anything. I felt like the top left side of my head. This was a bottom one,
Paralysis.
but
Your head is numb.
and I didn't get stroke face or anything. I don't know if that's just the bottom is different than the top because normally, your face is. But also, she does this thing where they put this sort of stretchy thing in your mouth. It's almost like a
where
big
stuff can't fall down into
rubber
your
wall,
throat.
and then they'll tear a hole in it so you can breathe.
Yeah.
Because my thing with the dentist is I can't breathe out of my nose very good. I feel like I'm suffocating with all
Yeah.
that stuff, and it was just easy as can be. Water's not going down your throat. I normally have to stop every 5 minutes.
I normally tell them ahead of time. Give me the little sucker thing.
Yeah.
I need to be able to
Just hold
suction
it.
my mouth anytime I want to.
But I kid you not, I had a root canal, and if I would have brought my AirPods, I could have gotten lost in a podcast or music, and
Yeah.
it was over quick. She did an amazing job. She gets it all set up for your
know.
dentist, for the crown. And this is one of those, unless I just happen to stumble across an amazing endodontist in this area, I will just fly back to Florida for
I
her.
know. It's not that
for
much.
now.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
not that much to fly down. I would definitely do that too.
Yeah, so if you're in Florida, Maria Claus, not Klaus, as I've been saying this whole time.
I think it's called the root canal specialist. They're in Tavares.
Yeah, she is really, really good. Really
Yeah,
good.
I really
Also,
would.
you touched on the puppy, but we have a brand new little puppy upstairs here. He's sleeping right now, but
It's so cute and smushy.
it has been an adventure. It has been an adventure. He's a really cute and sweet little puppy, but you know, it reminds
He's a
you
puppy.
that dogs are just like kids.
Yep.
Both of them are corgis, both of them from the same breeder, and they are quite different. He's
they are.
definitely more vocal and just a little more spazzy.
He's a little more spazzy than she was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to give her a run for her money for sure. He's already wearing her out, and that's her toy.
Yeah.
That's what her new toy is. So we don't have to entertain her all the time.
Yeah, and I
Because
love
she
it.
makes us feel guilty for working from home. She looks at us like, well, you're home. I don't understand why we're not.
Right. Why can't you play with me? Well, we keep saying I got my dog a dog, and it couldn't be more true right now because she, I think all dogs kind of go through this phase where they're bummed. She hasn't done that. It's been a week
Yeah.
now, and she gets really jealous with me because
Protective.
she's kind of my dog, except for when she's sleeping. But so if I'm giving the puppy attention, she comes running in and stands between me and the puppy.
Yeah.
So I try to pet them both. But the way I see this happening, even though Oliver is definitely Mackenzie's dog, he's kind of your dog. He's definitely
He
glued to mama.
He really loves me.
And so it's kind of a thing where it's
That
working
can always
out.
change too, though.
True,
You
true.
know what I mean? As as he starts like becoming a teenager and then an adult,
Yeah. Well, if he's a teenager and it's like adult teenagers, you can have him until that's over. Until that phase.
I
is
don't want
over.
him. I don't want him. Anyway, that one of the things we are really excited about in this area is just it's so dog friendly everywhere. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm just so happy about that.
Yeah.
So we pretty much bring our dog everywhere. She does need a little training on the bark factor when we're out and about. She does pretty good, but
Yeah.
I think if we do a training with him and her, she'll learn really quick. And then we can take them everywhere, and they'll just be those dogs that just sit nice and quiet, just
I
like a
love
nice little good child at the dinner table.
And right, and not and considering that Mackenzie wasn't formally trained just by me, and I don't know what I'm doing.
She does pretty good.
She is not a spazoid. If we go to eat, we sit outside. But I would like to have her a little more trained to where we can go. And in the spirit again of our show and how we like to promote local businesses. I don't know if they're a small business, but we went to the White Duck Taco Shop.
I mean, I think they started as a small business, but I
Yeah.
looked it up, and they're all over the
everywhere.
place now. Yeah, they're in
It's a-
Knoxville.
Okay.
They're in Tennessee. They're in South Carolina. I mean, they're still kind of like in this 3-state area.
Yeah,
I think
makes me wonder if they're still like mom and pop owned. But regardless, very
it could
interesting.
be like a franchise or something too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Sure.
yeah, really interesting tacos.
Very interesting tacos. A couple of them I really enjoyed. I didn't dislike any of them, but some of them were pretty good and some of them really good. But what I loved about it is they allow dogs inside in the eating area. Like normally in a restaurant, you outside with the dogs, but you can't
Yeah.
have them inside. So if this isn't for you, it's good to know and don't go because there's dogs that are going to be sitting inside.
Yeah.
But I love that. So we will go. Just so we can bring our dogs inside. I mean,
Yeah.
it was that would be.
I mean,
really cool.
I like them being outside with us better when we eat, but it is cold. You know what I mean? So
and rainy yesterday.
yeah, so you can't eat outside. But when it's spring and summertime, we are going to be
Always outside.
always outside.
Yeah.
But there's so many options for that down here, though, and literally you can bring your dog
Just about
almost
everywhere.
which I love so very much, very much.
I don't want to forget to plug one more local restaurant. We'll have to reach out to them too. Weirdest name ever, but they're called Papa's and Beer. And if you're around this area, you probably already know.
Yeah.
But it's a
I
Mexican.
haven't been there yet, though.
I know. It's a Mexican restaurant.
I
So
did have the fajitas when I got home from the airport. A little bit of
yeah,
them.
yeah, leftovers. It's a Mexican restaurant, which maybe there's a cool story behind why it's called Papa's and Beer, which I'd love to learn.
Yeah,
So we'll be
I
reaching
do
out.
love hearing those stories.
I do too, because it's so weird. When I first looked it up, I thought it sounds like a bar, and I like bars, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to bring Angie's mom and sister
Yeah,
and
yeah.
go eat, go sit and eat, beer cheese at the
And
bar.
some pretzels. Here, have a
Right.
pretzel for dinner.
Right. So, but it's a Mexican restaurant here in Candler. I think it's still in Candler. It might be in the Asheville city limits, but it is.
I know. We don't drive too far before we get into Asheville's territory. You know
No,
what I
we're
mean?
right outside.
Yeah.
But it's huge portions, delicious food. They were packed. I mean, the house was full, and it's a big place. So it is definitely a local hotspot for
Yeah.
food. I'm not telling probably any of you anything you haven't already heard
Yeah.
about this place, but if you're
This
coming
is
to the
great
area,
for people coming up to the area because it's
Yeah,
always nice
I
to have
mean-
a list of places to go instead of just kind of like rolling the dice.
yeah,
You know what I
taking
mean?
your chances.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to take you there, Angie. But this place
Yeah.
was really good. Huge portions, like I said. Now I'd love to tell you, I brought some home, but I just ate it all. It was really good. So
Well, that
Papa-
shows that it was good.
yeah,
That shows it is good. Well, guys, we are so excited about getting more involved in the community here in North Carolina. We are renting in this area right now, but we're looking to make, somewhere around Asheville our permanent home in the
Yeah.
next couple years. So we're super excited about that. And if you're a small business in the area or a local artist, author, any other type of creative, please reach out to us at fineanddangy, fineanddangy@gmail.com.
That's right.
Or you can message us on Facebook or on Instagram. And we would love to chat about your business and hear your story and why you do what you do and why you love it.
yeah, I would love that. And you can also go to our website. But I just rebuilt our website from the ground up
Yeah,
with a
let's
new
give
web
a
host.
disclaimer with this one.
Hostinger, by the way, if you're looking for a new web host, they're inexpensive compared to like Wix, but our website is down today. And so I've been messaging them. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's an outage. And I'm like, thanks for telling us,
Yeah,
I guess.
thanks for
but
the heads up. We could have put that on our social media and let everybody know. Hey,
Right.
if you're going to check us out,
instead of handing out business cards all week. So
it's hey, check
here's our
us
new
out.
website.
Our crap don't work.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, you can find us at fineanddangy.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us at fineanddangy@gmail.com. We're on all the socials except for Twitter because I don't think we understand it. But at fineanddangy. So find us there.
I'm trying to get better with Instagram, but I'm in the age group where Facebook is my thing.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we hope you stay with us to check out our new studio and the new guests that we will have on the show soon. And
That's
as
right.
always, I'll let Angie take the show out.
Take us out.
Take us out.
And remember, guys, at the end of each and every day,
It's all fine and dandy.
So what did you think? Did you like the show? If you did like the show, we would love a review on the Apple Podcast app or whatever app you use to listen. And if you want to hear more, you can subscribe on that same app so you get notified when new shows come out. You can see pictures from each episode, including our guests, at fineanddangy.com, and you can follow us on all social media at fineanddangy. Thanks. We'll see you next time.